Hello again. Welcome to the second installment of our video series on the AK5706, AKM's intelligent wake-up solution for audio products. My name is Bobby Tofino, and I'm an apps engineer here at AKM Semiconductor. I know you probably clicked on this right away after watching the first introductory video, but just in case, let's do a quick recap. Voice-activated products have a couple of key design challenges. The overall idea is to keep the SoC in a low-power mode until voice activity has actually been detected. Now, there are multiple reasons why you'd want to keep your SoC asleep. We don't want the system to get too hot, for one thing, and increasingly there are standby power requirements for these kinds of products. So even if you're wall-powered, it's best to reduce power consumption wherever possible. Primarily though, it's because we don't want to run down the battery. Whether we've got a portable smart speaker or a wireless security camera or a wearable, we want the battery life to be as long as possible. But even with a voice activity detector, you've got the issue of the SoC waking up too often due to false triggers, and the fact that you tend to lose any audio activity that occurred while the SoC was in the process of booting up. The AK5706 addresses both of those challenges very well, but in this video we'll focus on the first challenge, reducing SoC wake-up events. The AK5706 addresses the problem of excess SoC wake-up events with AKM's Acoustic Activity Analyzer. As you can see, the AAA's two main blocks are the noise level detector and the acoustic analysis block. Let's start with the noise level detector. Before we even bother analyzing our audio input, we want to make sure that it's loud enough for us to be interested in it at all, but loud enough is relative. Let's say that we're in a room where the noise floor is constant and unchanging. In that case, it's easy to say we only care about noises that are, say, 10 dB above wherever that fixed noise floor is, and ignore anything below that. That first audio event will be ignored because it didn't exceed the threshold, and so will the third one. That one's below the noise floor, so we really don't care about it. The other two events get through. But most of the time, you don't have an unchanging noise floor. Maybe your kids suddenly crank up their newest thrash metal album in the next room, and now your noise floor is actually above your preset threshold. You don't know if the system is waking up due to that racket or due to some audio event that you actually care about. Or maybe suddenly your air conditioning shuts off so the noise floor goes way down. Now you get lucky with that third event because it happens to stay below your threshold even though it's now way above your noise floor. But you can't rely on luck if you are on a battery budget or you have strict standby power consumption requirements. In real life, the noise floor is very often going to change, and that's why noise tracking is key. The noise level detector constantly tracks the noise floor, which allows us to configure the threshold as a delta above the current noise floor rather than as a fixed value. Now what that means is that as the noise floor goes up and down, that detection threshold also goes up and down. That is key because generally we don't care about noise. We care about sounds that are significantly louder than whatever ambient noise level we are currently dealing with. So if you have a look at this scenario, we are now rejecting the first three audio events because they are all below our constantly updating threshold. That second event, for example, would have to be loud enough to exceed our detection threshold for us to care about it. So the moral of the story is that you can't assume that the conditions in your environment are going to be static. They are likely going to change, so you need a dynamic solution, which the AK5706's noise level detector provides. Every environment is different, so you need to be able to configure the NLD accordingly. You do that through the AK5706's GUI, which is included with the evaluation kit. Contact your local sales rep if you want one. There are three main parameters to set here. The first is the minimum detection level, which actually is a fixed value. Even though we expect changing conditions, usually we'll never care about sounds below a certain level, so this just helps us narrow down what we're listening for. The noise level detector level threshold is that delta that we talked about earlier. If you set it to 10 dB, then the threshold will be 10 dB above the current noise floor. The threshold tracks the current level of ambient noise. The noise level detector tracks the ambient noise level over a window of specified length. A shorter window means that you are updating the current ambient noise level more often, so it is more accurate from moment to moment. If you choose a longer window, then you're looking at more of an averaging effect and you'll be more sensitive to some sounds. For example, the noise from a car passing by may last for a good while as it approaches and then gradually fades away. The sound is long enough to behave a bit like ambient noise, so a short detection window probably won't lead to it triggering the system. A longer detection window, since it is updating less often, may let that noise through at the loudest point when the car actually passes by the microphone. Here's a brief noise level detector demo on the AK5706 Evaluation Kit. Let's say you've got an outdoor camera or a smart doorbell or something like that and it's raining. The NLD makes sure that you don't trigger on the rain sounds. In this clip, the red LED lights up when we've triggered our system. Wake up. Notice that the rain noise didn't light up the LED even though it's pretty loud. The system only triggered when it detected my voice. Now that we've identified a sound that is loud enough to be interesting, the next step is going to be to try to figure out what it was and, more importantly, whether it's worth waking your SoC up over. More on that in the next video. In the meantime, head to akm.com and check out more on the 5706 and all kinds of other interesting audio devices. See you next time.